What's up, guys? Chris over here at Cover 7. Real quickly, just want to tell everyone thank you that's liked, commented, and subscribed to the channel. It goes a long ways on a small channel like mine. I have to say this on every video nowadays. I don't claim to be a college football expert, analyst, or insider. I try to give the most unbiased opinion as I can. I don't hide the fact that I'm a Husker fan. You can let me know down in the comments how shit they are. That's fine with me. But at the end of the day, I'm a college football fan first, man. I just love college football. If you really want to help the channel out, man, give this a thumbs up. I can't tell you how far that goes. It's completely free, and it takes 2 seconds. With that being said, let's talk about this matchup here. Tennessee favored by 4.5, depending on the book. At Florida, the over-under set to 57. Now, typically I talk about the road teams first, so we'll start with the Vols here. Pretty good season so far for Tennessee. Now, I'll talk about them a little in depth here in a second, but 7-3, the record's pretty good. They have lost to the 3 best teams they played: Georgia, Bama, and OU. They're coming off a 42-9 victory over New Mexico State this past weekend. They have a couple big games looming here, though. Obviously, the Florida game, and then they got Vandy here at the end of the year, which should be a real interesting game. The offense under Heupel, man, it's been really freaking good this year, in my opinion. Joey Aguilar, who I knew was going to be way better than Nico. I'm not bragging. I never liked Nico. Didn't think he was that great anyway. Aguilar's a pretty damn good quarterback, guys. Check these stats out. He's 8th in the country in passing yards with almost 3,000. He's tied for 9th in the country in touchdown passes with 22. He does get a little sloppy with the ball at times with the turnovers. He's got 10 picks on the year. He's going to have to clean that up in this game. The running back room here is really good. Deshaun Bishop, 6th in the SEC in rushing yards. This kid's almost averaging 7 yards per carry this far in the season. That's really good. The 1B, Star Thomas, he actually sits 17th in the SEC. He has 6 scores as well. Wide receiver Chris Brazil, this guy is having a monster year. He's 10th in the country in receiving yards. He's got 8 touchdown catches on the year. Braylon Staley, he sits in the top 25 in the nation as well in receiving yards. So Tennessee's got 2 really good receivers here, obviously. So with that being said, the Tennessee offense, man, I actually think they're one of the nation's best. I'm not going to put them, top 10 probably. I know they've beaten up on a couple cans of corn. They've beat up on some I don't want to call bad teams in the SEC. They put up a ton of points this year, though. They don't have a problem scoring points. We'll talk about the defense here in a minute. But if you look at the ranks here for Tennessee, they're 2nd in the nation in total offense. They're 43rd in rushing offense. They're 3rd best in the country in passing offense. They protect the quarterback incredibly well here. They're 25th best in the country at that as well. They've only given up 13 sacks on the year. Where the issues are, and I've said it all year long with Tennessee when I've covered them, is the defense. And it's weird because last year I thought their defense carried them, man. Their defense was insane last year. They actually sit 85th in the country in total defense this season. They do fairly well against the run at 43rd. Where they struggle, and it sucks, is 115th in the country in passing yards allowed. Man, they give up a ton of yards through the air. Now, they do get to the quarterback, though, which is kind of crazy. They have 33 freaking sacks on the year. That's a ton. That's actually 4th best in the country. So they're good at getting the quarterback. As far as Florida goes here, let's talk about them real quickly. I know I haven't covered them much on the channel for good reason. They haven't been good this season. They're 3-7. They've lost, 4 out of their last 5 games. It's been a bad year. I don't know any other way to put it for Florida fans. I think they know that. They finally fired Billy Napier. Thank God. This guy, in my opinion, should have been fired a couple years ago or even last year. But this season has been a disappointment. Florida was picked to win a lot of games this year as far as Vegas goes. I think it was at maybe 7 or 8. Now, I know the schedules have been brutal the past couple years for Florida. There's no doubt about that. They always seem to get a really bad draw when it comes to scheduling. But regardless, you got to win games. That's what it is in college football. And that starts with quarterback DJ Lagway. Now, like Arch Manning, he in a way, like, he has had so much pressure to perform out of high school. I know he's a 5-star. I know he's got a rocket for an arm. I get all that crap. We hear that about every single quarterback in the country. Bryce Underwood, Dylan Raiola, my quarterback, all that stuff. I know he didn't put the expectation level up there. Other people like me on the internet and the national pundits on ESPN and all that kind of stuff do that stuff. But it's been a rough freaking year, and I don't want to place all the blame on him. I'm not going to do that. I still think he's a decent enough quarterback, but he sits 11th in the SEC in passing yards. He's 11th in touchdown passes. The problem here, too, is obviously the interceptions. He's thrown 13 on the year. It's just been ugly this year, and he sits dead last in the SEC in actually interceptions. So, like I said, it's just not been good. Running back, and I think he's their best player on offense, Jordan Ball. This kid's pretty good, man. Honestly, considering what's going on at Florida, he's actually 5th in the SEC in rushing yards. He's got over 800 on the year. The wide receiver room, I'm not sure where I would rank these guys. I mean, some of this is on DJ too, but Vernal Brown, I think he's solid. Studevant, TJ Abrams, these guys are all solid pass catchers, but they've really lacked explosive plays all year. If you've watched Florida at all, they just don't have any explosive plays, and you need that in the SEC especially. So it's been pretty rough here. Check the ranks out. Man, Florida sits 106 in the country in total offense, 105th in rushing offense, 79th in passing offense, 49th in sacks allowed with 16th. Florida sits 113th in the country in points per game. They barely average over 20. I know the SEC is tough. I know they got a lot of good defense. I get all that. But this is the Florida Gators we're talking about here, man. It's got to be better. Hopefully, whoever they hire as a head coach, they got to start turning this offense around. They do have talent. I talk about that all the time with Florida. So as far as the defense goes here, look, it's not as bad as what the stats are, in my opinion. They are on the field literally 70% of the game. Florida actually sits 63rd in the country in total defense. They're 57th versus the run, 73rd versus the pass, 59th in sacks with 21 on the year. They only give up less than 24 points a game at 23.6. That's not really that bad. Like I said, if you watch Florida at all, their defense is on the field a lot. Too much, in my opinion. Okay, so this game, and I think a majority of you people, if you follow these two teams, and I love talking about SEC football, even though I'm a Big Ten homer, I still think the SEC has the smartest fan bases, in my opinion. I truly believe that. A lot of good people on this channel from the SEC. Thank y'all, by the way. The crazy stat here, though, what I was getting into, Tennessee hasn't won at Florida since 2003. That's 9 straight they've lost there. I know it's been talked about a ton for whatever reason. Florida just holds an edge on Tennessee at home. You see it, just like Michigan is continually beating Ohio State year after year after year since 2019. My Huskers, for example, just cannot beat Iowa. They get owned by Minnesota, who is honestly not near the team Nebraska is, for example. For whatever reason, you see this in college football. Bama has been owning Georgia essentially the past how many years? For whatever reason, Florida has had Tennessee's number at home. Look, maybe I'm out of my mind here, but I see this game being close. I know Tennessee is the better team on paper. I know they've had the better season so far. But Florida, on the other side, if you really look into their games, they have played Georgia tough. They played Ole Miss last weekend tough. Now, I know they got their ass beat by Kentucky. They lost to South Florida this year. I get all that. But I think this game's going to be close. I just do. I have a feeling the Swamp is a tough place to play. I think they're going to be loud. I think Florida's going to kind of approach this like this is maybe their Super Bowl. I hate to say that. I know that word gets thrown out a lot. But the biggest thing here for me is Tennessee's defense. I don't think they're that good. Now, I'm not trying to piss off the Tennessee fans by any means. I am definitely not a Florida homer. It's just their defense struggles, man. Like, they're just not that good. Even though Florida's offense ain't great, I think they're going to be able to put up some points in this one to keep it competitive. Now, on the other end, if Florida's defense does show up to play in this one, they don't, do what they did against Kentucky a couple weeks ago, I actually think they can slow Tennessee's offense down. So I'm taking the points here with Florida. I am the 4.5. I grabbed that this morning. I actually see this being a little bit lower scoring game than the over-under being at 57-2. Maybe I'm completely wrong about this game. Sometimes I get them right, sometimes I get them wrong, but this is an objective view from 1,000 miles away on my end. Like I said, I'm not fans of either team here, but I see this game being close. I think I'll take the points here. The history sits on Florida's side. If they lose by 4 or 3 or whatever, I still cover here. So with that being said, I hope this is a good game. That's what I want to see more than anything. I love college football, like I said. So if you're a supporter of this channel, thank you. If you guys want to become a part of the channel, please subscribe. I love y'all. We'll talk to you later.